Hey everybody, it is Justin, your guide into the Forgotten Runiverse. And of course, oh man, if you guys like MMOs, if you like RPGs, if you like things where you can specialize your builds, especially with the characters and wizards that you have, this is going to be an important thread to go over. So I don't know what happened. I actually missed this thread. There's so much stuff happening right now, but we're going to recap it now. So combat goes into much more depth than what you've experienced in our pre-alpha builds. So far we've only shown off basic abilities, but as you level further, you can choose specializations with high abilities. We'll talk about what those are in just a moment. And then later heart abilities, of which we'll also kind of delve into, which further define your specialized path, right? So we can kind of see an image here. But just to recap, if you guys don't know how combat works inside of the Forgotten Runiverse or the Runiverse game, basically you have a combat bar at the very top that kind of, you have you have your dexterity stat, which, kind of determines how fast this goes. Actually, let me go back just a tiny bit. We're fighting an ant and a wasp here. And I have my wizard, of course. I'm shooting my spells and, he's doing some buffs. But basically, your spells that you have equipped here, like a fireball, we have a heal spell here as well. This kind of is determined by your dexterity at the very top, and then of course you can specialize that however you want based off of your ability slots that you decide to fill up and choose. There are a ton of abilities and spells. That's what I really like about the Runiverse game. It kind of reminds me of like Path of Exile, where you can pick any specific build you want to go into, and this thread kind of goes into that, and we'll take a look at, like, for example, what that is in terms of combat. There's a combat overview which we can briefly go over, but let's just jump into this thread and kind of see what it breaks down. So basically here, it kind of outlines there's actually an ability here that says it's an active backstab, right? So I'm assuming this is a particular ability, probably a high ability. It says use the secret arts of red wizards to stab one vital point of the target, dealing heavy damage, and it inflicts about 100% physical damage of your physical damage stat, and then 30% as bleed damage over time for 3 target turns. So again, these types of abilities are going to be able to differentiate and set aside your wizard towards a particular play style, whether that's like heavy bruiser or tank or assassin or however you want to make it. Your spells are going to be critical to doing that, and those abilities are only going to be relegated to that particular color of wizard, I suppose, right? So this one's for red wizards, right? It's a single target. Its cooldown is around 4 turns, or essentially, whenever this bar essentially goes back to the when you hit that action, like this last endpoint is when you can commit your action, or you can take your turn, and then it'll reset back to the bottom, and it'll just keep going forward. So again, we'll kind of go over. Actually, YouTube's gonna lag my stream, so I'm actually gonna close that. So basically, it's gonna be important to specialize your wizard, and then we also have something like heart abilities, right? So it says heart abilities have their own action bar, which recharges independently from your main action bar. So again, the main action bar is at the top, and then I'm assuming we have heart abilities, which will have another bar, of which will be somewhere in the UI later. And again, they are extremely powerful and truly define your wizard's playstyle. So again, those things are going to be important. So again, timing when to use your abilities and comboing them together, alongside your allies is the key to victory, right? And then again, a party of up to 4 wizards each with different abilities and specializations allows for deep strategic combat interaction and to make challenging, strong enemies feel truly rewarding. So I would assume there are going to be some bosses that you can't necessarily do all by yourself at some point. So again, partying up with other people, or just maybe one more friend so that you can synergize, is probably going to be something that you'll want to keep an eye out for. So again, you can take a look at the Forgotten Runiverse combat overview, but of course, I actually do want to jump into the white paper before we go back to combat overview, right? So again, I do want to preface, in the first build that we saw, like that stream that I just showed from the Arbitrum stream, the level cap was 15, right? So these are just novice wizards, right? They don't have any specialization, and they can only use basic abilities, right? But as the game expands, as the game moves into its further progression, and we have more things to do, we can go open world, there are more places to explore, more enemies to fight. Eventually we'll be able to level up to 30, level up to 45, or even 50 plus, right? And these are categorized into high wizards, heart wizards, and soul wizards. And of course, probably the once we see high wizards, then you'll have one type of specialization, which will allow you to use basic and high abilities. And then whatnot beyond high and heart and soul abilities, I don't think I can necessarily get into at this very moment. But again, to utilize and probably get to these specializations, you're going to have to visit a Mage Hall Tier 1 or Tier 2. And again, these are public or player owned in the case of Hall Tier 1, and then only player owned for Hall Tier 2, but whiles away out until we get to Stage 3. So again, those are going to be really important. I would say it's probably good to go over the combat overview. This is a really easy explainer on how all the UI ties together, fighting your enemies. And of course, the easiest way is just going to jump into the game. And again, everybody's going to ask me, when Runiverse, Justin? And of course, no, I don't know. All I know is soon. But again, it's always nice to break everything down and kind of go through, combat abilities, actions and stuff like that, and building the way that you want to build, because I'm pretty excited. I really like RPGs and roguelikes and just grinding so that we can make cooler and better stuff. But again, they kind of go over soul abilities here as well, right? Oh dang, I should probably go over this threads. Okay, wow, yeah, there's a lot of alpha actually inside of the blog. So I would definitely go to the runiverse.world website and look through this. But we'll actually break down a little bit here about, basic abilities, high ability. Why don't we just go into high abilities? So again, high abilities are the honor of specializing your character into one of the 7 wizard color paths. Wow. Okay. So your character will choose one of the 7 color paths. And again, if you guys don't know, it is red, blue, green, yellow, brown. That's 5, and then there's 2 more. There's white and purple. Okay, yeah. Almost forgot. But anyways, well, I guess that's the theme. I know I'm not gonna make. I should just end this video now. Okay, so each wizard call tends to do things a little differently, as you should know if you peruse the Book of Lore. So while your wizard color won't entirely determine your combat style, it will nudge you in a direction. For example, we have some examples. Yellow wizards are chronomancers who play with time, so you'll find more status effects at your disposal than if you specialized into a more brute force color like the reds. Interesting. So choosing a specialization will grant you the ability to utilize their high crystals to unlock high abilities that tend to be more powerful and complex, but might be more useful in some situations than others. And then they kind of go over heart abilities too. So once you built up some solid experience through quests and combat, you'll unlock access to heart abilities. And these abilities are influenced by your specialization path as well, but specifically act as passives. Ooh, we get perma passes. Okay, that's epic. To augment your playstyle. I like that. Most of these abilities will augment abilities you already have. For example, by adding an increased chance of critical or inflicting a status effect, right? So they also may reduce skill cooldown time or have other special modifiers. And then outside of heart abilities, what about soul abilities? So the last type of ability is your character's soul ability. So this is your capstone ability, right? So again, it has its own ATB bar to recharge and can be used to push your character specialization even further. And these are exceptionally powerful and can define your character's playstyle or augment or an otherwise balanced build. So that's going to be really sick. That's going to be really awesome. There is some more information about enemies and, just the types of enemies that we'll see inside of the Runiverse, of course, and how you can encounter them. And then they also go over dungeons as well. So I'm excited for dungeons and how all of this is going to work. This is a new area. Okay, but there's a lot of new art just floating around everywhere that you should definitely check out. It kind of goes over, finding recipes, stuff like that, joining up with other people inside of a party, and, other things that are going to be pertinent to the rest of, the Runiverse. So again, if you guys like this content, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. All the links will be in the description below. But of course, that's just my brief overview of, just everything that comes with, whatchamacallit, combat. So again, until we see each other in the Runiverse, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.